Okay. All right, everyone. So we're going to get started here. We got people filtering in. Welcome to our Q&A with Aditi Chadha of Anecdotes, your India destination specialist. They're truly some of the world's top experts in planning travel to India, which I know we all have questions about. And we just wanted to offer this opportunity to offer a chance to ask questions directly to Aditi about either upcoming client trips, personal travel, just questions in general about, when, where, why, how should we plan for India. So how we're going to get started with this is Aditi is going to go through a couple slides, just a little bit about India, a little bit about anecdotes to maybe get some questions rumbling in your mind. And if you already have a question, if you came prepared with questions, or if the slides spark a question, there is a feature in this software up at the top where there'll be a little question mark. If you click on it, you can submit your question directly through the chat there. And then when Aditi's done with her slides, we'll go through your questions. And then if we need to have any particular specifics about your question, I can unmute you and we can go from there. So just let us know in the Q&A, the questions area of the software, if you have anything, if you came prepared with a question, or as things start to pop up, you can ask there in the chat. But just to get started, I'm Kelly Tolliday. I'm the managing director here at Travel Kinship. We are a representation company where we represent some of the world's most boutique, unique luxury DMCs around the world. Majority of our DMCs are local owned, local operated, and it's something that's really important to us, is really being able to highlight some of the world's most beautiful destinations, some of the world's lesser visited destinations as well, and pairing you as the advisor with our amazing, really, ethically sounded, sustainably sourced DMCs around the world. So I am so excited to be with Aditi today, presenting one of my favorite destinations in the world, and being able to share a little bit more about what it's like to plan, travel for India for your clients. And I will let Aditi take it away to share more about anecdotes in India. And then in the next 5-10 minutes, we'll open it up for questions. So feel free to pop your questions either in the chat or in the questions box, and we'll go kind of one by one from there. Welcome, Aditi.
Thank you for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today, and a very good morning and a very good evening from India as well. As Kelly mentioned, if you allow us a few minutes, we'd love to introduce ourselves, which is our company Anecdotes, that are destination specialists in the Indian subcontinent, and give you a little bit of information about our beautiful and magical country, which is India, and some of the interesting features, experiences, products, as well as some of the trends that we're anticipating in the next coming months for us. So just to get into a little bit about our story, Anecdotes is a India destination specialist. As Kelly mentioned, very, very much about the local flavor, locally living in India. We're based out of Delhi and we have a few offices around different parts of the country. Specialize in various curated experiences across the Indian subcontinent. Anecdotes is, just to give you a little bit about how the name itself was inspired, which I hope it speaks to what the purpose and DNA of our company is. Anecdotes is all about storytelling. It's a reflection of, as we often say to our team and to our guests, it's that story, that narrative, that memory, that image that we hope your guests will take away once they come and visit India for whichever holiday, whichever experience, whichever tour they're looking for. And it's that story or that memory that they will go home with and either frame as a picture on their wall, or tell their grandchildren about, or tell their neighbors about. And that is what we do at Anecdotes as a destination management company. We look at curating various experiences and special interest tours around the subcontinent. And our experiences span every genre of travel, from luxury to wellness to wildlife to textiles and more. All these experiences, of course, are grown and are developed and are designed with a beautiful team that backs us, which has over a century of experience. Um, and all of our various experiences are designed to be explorative, to be meaningful, and to be authentic, which, of course, as we said, reflects a little bit in our name. Just to give you a little bit about our story and what we do, aside of having a lot of fun curating experiences around India. So, Anecdotes' portfolio as a DMC hosts over about 100 plus tours across the Indian subcontinent. As I mentioned, genres from wildlife to luxury to boutique hotels. We specialize in leisure experiences, customized tours, as well as celebratory or reunions and certain sort of very milestone based events and experiences around India. We're fortunate to partner with all the leading luxury and boutique hotels in India, and these have been long standing partnerships for many years. And one thing we really try and do is grow our community, both in terms of the kind of storytellers and experts that we bring in to lead some of our trips, as well as, of course, the guests and the various communities locally that we interact with. And this has taken us, or this sort of thread of experience has taken us across all the 26 plus regions that India has and more. As I mentioned a little bit about our purpose and DNA, these are the sort of the tenets, or these are the sort of facets that we always keep in mind when we design or we come up with any solutions for your clients' interests or needs to travel to India. Very much focused on the experience. Truly believe in the idea of slow travel where everything is paced according to what the clients are looking for. We're very much in tune with the community and the consciousness that we require today, of course, as an industry. We try very hard to incorporate an element of what I love to call leisure learning. Idea being through the activities, the excursions, the experiences, every touch point that the client interacts with in whichever city or destination in India, there's more that they walk away with, and that's our endeavor to bring that in through the unique experiences, through the kind of hotels that they stay at, through the kind of local interactions that they have, and of course, the storytellers and the guides that escort them through the entire experience. As I mentioned, Anecdotes really does focus a lot on the idea of community, and that extends in terms of the kind of products we design, as well as the fortunate guests that we've sort of traveled with and catered to through the country. So, various storytellers come into our portfolio of experiences. Some of them are leading photographers in India, some of them are ex Harvard professors that are experts in the subject matter of Central Asia. Some of them are historians, some of them are musicians, and more. And our experiences have spanned guests from all over the world now, multi generational families, honeymoon couples, reunion groups, special interest women groups, and a lot more. As destination specialists, we do cover, of course, the entire length and breadth of India, but we also look at the subcontinent because borders really don't define us today. And as you know, India is in very close proximity to Bhutan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. So, as a DMC, we offer our services across the Indian subcontinent, giving you very sort of combined itineraries that can be done for someone's looking at this entire region. Just to very briefly get into a little bit about this magical country of India that we have. India, as I often see it, lies in the heart of Asia. The subcontinent, as I mentioned, includes Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and Nepal. But India really is at the core of it, and the length and breadth of our country, as you know, this map doesn't do justice to the kind of magnanimity that the country has. But I often say that India's breadth and length is comparable to Europe, where the north or the east or the south of India is almost like a different country in Europe. We speak different languages, we look different, we eat differently, but we all magically come together as a culture, which is, of course, the Indian subcontinent and the region of India. Some very interesting facts about India, which for me as well have been quite fascinating. One of my personal favorites, of course, is that India is considered the tiger capital of the world. So that makes wildlife a big genre of travel in India. We host probably the majority of the tiger population in the world in our national parks today. As I mentioned, it's a continent within a region. multiple languages, multiple dialects, people from all over the country look and feel differently, but we come together as one unified country. Interestingly, in terms of our geography, again, to show the breadth of experiences that we can offer, we have the Himalayan range from the north, and we have the vast oceans from the Indian Ocean to the Bay of Bengal around us. So anything from lakes to treks to ocean experiences, two-thirds of India is actually surrounded by water. So the kind of experiences that can be designed, of course, are quite fascinating. And of course, Bollywood, which is almost like, I would say, cricket and Bollywood, which are our defining cultural facets, finds its home in India, and there's some very interesting and fun experiences that one can design around that as well. India, like I always say, with the history that we have and the geography that we have, literally does have something for everyone. So, whatever travel it may be, whatever interest it may be, whether it's textiles, whether it's river cruises today, luxury trains, whether it's wellness, whether it's wildlife or music, there is an itinerary, there is a program waiting for every kind of traveler. And we at Anecdotes hope and we try very hard to present those kind of design programs very much in tune with what your guests are looking for. This is just to show you our vision, or as I always say, Anecdotes vision of India, which is some of our just a snippet of some of our various signature and curated experiences across the length and breadth of the country. So, starting from the north of India, which is Ladakh and Kashmir, where we've had experiences like watching the tulips bloom, something that people travel to Japan today actually also takes place in India around this time of spring. Coming down towards the east, where you have some of the very auspicious festivals and religious festivals in India, which are a spectacle or an intangible cultural experience, like Dev Dipavali, which is in the holy city of Varanasi, or Durga Puja, which is in Calcutta. And these are all experiences that one can actually go and witness over 3, 4, 5 days, and then combine that with other parts or other facets of India. We have the rivers, which is the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, where we have some of the most luxury river cruises now in the country. And then, of course, as we come towards the south of India, you have Kerala, you have Tamil Nadu, which have the temple trails, which have the textile trails, which have the cultural trails, and of course, wellness. And as we go towards the western coast, we have Gujarat, we have going further up north, the very popular Rajasthan, where you will experience some of the wildlife in India, you will experience some of the majestic forts and palaces, and what we call the royal hospitality of India. So, something for everybody in the country, which now Anecdotes tries to present with all these different tours and experiences. Everything that you see on this screen right now is customizable to what our clients are looking for. But there is always some trip waiting for anybody in the country. So Kelly, I leave it to you if you want to open up to any questions or any questions that anybody has, and then we can continue further after that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Aditi. Yeah, we just wanted to kick off just sharing a little bit more about India and seeing if that sparks some questions for you. So if you do have questions, please feel free to drop it either in the questions box, or if that's not working for you, you can try the chat. But we do have a couple to start with. So from Nicole, she's asking, how far ahead can you plan a custom group? Some DMCs I've worked with have a hard time pricing packages more than 9 to 12 months out. My clients are frequent travelers, and it's better to get things on their radar to take deposits at least 12 to 18 months out, sometimes even longer. So, what would be your recommendation, I guess, for working with a client that's trying to plan a year out?
Well, we can plan, we can very much plan even up to 12 to 18 months before. Ironically, actually, we've seen a large growing trend of people booking almost a year in advance. And there is a trend where we have a benchmark of how, what is new, what are the new hotels that are opening up, and secondly, also if there's expected to be an appreciation in any prices, because we have contracts in place and we have the relationships in place, we know well in advance what can be anticipated. So it's very possible for us to plan 12 months, 16 months, 18 months out as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Um, A question from Nicole again. I'm a big fan of Indian film. What kind of experiences would you offer to connect guests with that aspect of Hindi or other regional culture?
Well, there are quite a few experiences. Of course, what we call to be the sort of the main base of Indian film, or where you find a lot of the sets and a lot of the talent, which is the actors, the filmmakers, etc. That has traditionally been based out of Bombay. So, as an experience, we can do interactions with actors, we can do one-on-one sessions, we can visit sets. We can visit recording studios. We can see, rehearsals of dance performances. We can stage quintessential Indian films at certain theaters if it's a group or a FIT that's looking for that kind of a bespoke experience. But there are also now, interestingly, other parts of the country where a lot of these famous films have been shot. So, for example, Varanasi had one of the most famous films of recent time that was shot over there. So, there are also ways in which during the itinerary we can incorporate, basically giving a customer a visual of how these experiences have come to life on an actual set. And now there are studios that are well beyond Bombay, because you will find that other regional languages of cinema in India, whether it's in the southern part of India or in the sort of western or eastern side of India, there are other areas as well that can be incorporated in an itinerary. So there are a lot of interesting things that can actually be done around this whole gamut of film and cinema in India. And we do share a very interesting pre-trip itinerary of quintessential Indian films to see. So we are very happy to share that, which will have some of my top favorites in case someone wants to start getting introduced to Indian cinema before getting here.
I love that. That's so fun. Okay, so next question is, if I have a client that is traveling to India for the first time, how much time would you recommend if they're traveling from the US, and where would be a classic experience or itinerary?
So, I mean, very honestly speaking, I mean, ideally, an itinerary is guided a lot by what a person's interest is and what they're looking for. So, whether it's wildlife or whether it's textiles or whether it's adventure, there are different parts of India, of course, that lend itself to that interest. But quintessentially speaking, if a person is coming to India for the first time, what we do recommend is the northern central part of India as a good first trip. That it usually includes uh, Delhi, which is tends to be the landing point, and a lot of all your international carriers are connected with Delhi now, as they are with Bombay as well. And then it includes Agra for the Taj Mahal, parts of Rajasthan, because I think that's a nice way to get an introduction to the depth of Indian culture, because it's a very strong state that has a lot of, from architecture to food to music to performing arts to textiles, you get to see all the facets. So it's a good way to get an immersive experience out of one destination. And secondly, for me, Rajasthan has some of the most beautiful hotels and some of the, as we've always seen, the fort palaces of India, which are quite typically showcased as a part of the Indian destination. So they really do bring out the Indian hospitality in the true sense of the word. So I think doing a combination of Rajasthan with parts of central India, and depending on the time, then adding in a component maybe of a little bit of a national park, which could be towards central India, like Madhya Pradesh, or in Ranthambore, which is in Rajasthan. Or if someone is more interested in more pilgrimage or culture or wellness, then parts of destinations like Varanasi or Rishikesh or Khajuraho, which are very culturally rich and UNESCO sites or wellness sites in India, those can be incorporated. So I would say that would be a good first itinerary, and that gives you a sort of feature of the cosmopolitan side of India, the contemporary side of India, the historical side of India, and some special interest experiences that can be done in all of these destinations, as well as the luxury of the hospitality. And I would say, if we're coming in from the US, in my personal opinion and in my experience, a minimum of 10 days is a good time to consider, given the travel distances and just adjusting to time changes. So anything between 10 to 14 days is a good time to look at, in an itinerary which is fairly even paced can be designed according to that.
Awesome. Thanks. So I have a question. in terms of safari in India, I know many people listening and watching have probably sent clients to African safari, and then the clients say, okay, well, what's next? Could you explain maybe like a classic safari in India and why this is, becoming such a popular trip type for clients that love, wildlife experiences?
Sure. So I'm personally a wildlife buff. Okay, so my ambition in life is to have a lovely lodge in a national park in India. So, um, as I mentioned, we are the number one thing I think to understand here is that the tiger, which is truly one of the most majestic sights that you could see, uh, a large density and a large population of that is found in the different national parks of India. In addition to the tiger, in terms of just the species, because wildlife is a fairly large genre, we have the leopards, we have the elephants, we have the one-horned rhino, and we have some of the most diverse species of birding as well, which is very popular in India. So, and now the black panther, which has also been discovered in certain areas. So, there is a lot in terms of wildlife that we have in terms of flora, fauna, species. The national parks in India themselves are very different, where you have some dry grasslands, some very thick, dense forests, like in the central part of India. So, if you're looking at a sort of immersive wildlife experience, even as you travel through different parts of the country, you will see a change in landscape, barring, of course, the change in sightings. Coupled with that, today, some of the most luxury properties, from boutique hotels to some of the most international chains, are now in the national parks of India. So, for example, you will have a Six Senses, you will have an Aman, which is there in Rajasthan, in Ranthambore. We have a stunning Indian chain called Sujan, which is again in parts of near Udaipur and parts of Ranthambore. You have the Oberoi Hotels, which is an Indian chain which is known fairly well around the world, that is also present in the national parks from Madhya Pradesh to Rajasthan. And you have a series of boutique hotels now which are independent, owner driven, very bespoke, very luxury oriented. So, the fact that you have the infrastructure of these stunning properties, some of them are designed very much like what we would experience in an African lodge, and I'll show some images maybe following up ahead, where it's literally like you're looking at the greens, you're looking at the forest areas. The fact that we've got a very robust system of naturalists that have come into the country now, which have been, of course, invested in by the government and by private parties. So it becomes this, the 3.5 hour safari becomes sort of a storytelling session on flora, fauna. It's not just waiting for the species to come about. You're actually learning as you're going along. And the little detailing that goes in that actual safari. We have luxury jeeps now that are fully equipped, and we have canters for larger groups of people that are very comfortable. So I think the growth of infrastructure, along with just the fascination of seeing these species, has made the wildlife experience really quite remarkable and memorable in India now.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So we don't have any other questions at the moment. I was wondering if maybe you could share some of the upcoming trends in travel to India and what people can be kind of expecting in the next year with sending their
Sure.
clients. Yeah.
Sure. So that's, I think if you can see my screen now. So, like you mentioned, just, a little thought starter on a few of the trends that we at Anecdotes are anticipating and seeing unfold over the next 12 to 18 months. Number one, I think, is that people today are looking to travel with a purpose. They're looking to travel with an interest in mind. They're looking to travel to get deeper into a certain genre, and that again at Anecdotes is what we love and what we do a lot of, where we design these experiences and itineraries with that in mind. The second is, like, we, as you just mentioned right now, what we're calling the W trend in India, which is the growth and the changing definition of wellness as a genre of travel in India, and the growth of wildlife experiences, which is what we just spoke about. The third is what we're anticipating and seeing as this portfolio of very interesting hotels, from the luxury chains to the boutique hotels that are opening up in different parts of the country today. And the last is how, those that are seeking the experience or are looking at the more than the where we are going, they're focusing on the what they would like to do. There is a burst of very interesting, unique activities that are coming up, even in the more traditional destinations. So it's like if you've been to Jaipur one time and you've seen, the heritage sites, now there is a series of experience and activities that one can do, which makes you feel like you're coming back to the destination for the first time. And that's again something at Anecdotes that we like to constantly keep being innovative and driven by, to find that new product and experience. So just coming to my first point, as a trend, like I stated, purpose driven travel, festival experiences, textile tours, culinary tours, different kinds of interests and genres today find themselves as a travel itinerary, whether it's 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. And this can take you into different regions of India from the north to the south. Coming to the second trend, which was the W's in India, I think the first thing that I would say personally is that, from what we've been interacting with our guests from around the world and the way we've been seeing the development in the country, there has been a change in this concept or the definition of wellness. So, wellness in India traditionally was, of course, a lot about the Ayurveda and the therapies, which we're known for and which we're very good at, and which, of course, we still have in terms of retreats, in terms of intensive programs, in terms of yoga. And you'll find that in different resorts, and we do various itineraries related to that from the north to the south. But the other facet of wellness that's coming in now is the idea of, connecting with nature, the idea of slower paced travel, the idea of different formats of therapy. So today for us, even a trek or a natural escape in a beautiful part of, let's say, northeast of India, or taking a river cruise on a very slow paced, uh, almost, I would say, barren area of the country, just to be amidst nature. These features are also coming into the definition of wellness, and there are some beautiful itineraries that are coming to the fore, which are reflecting that. The second aspect of wildlife, as we were just discussing, of course, that India is, I think, going to be the next destination for wildlife and safaris. And what you see in the middle is, just as I'd mentioned, just some images to show you today what these luxury hotels and jeep safaris are like. So what you are seeing in the center of the screen is a Fort Palace Hotel, which is approximately 1 hour away from Panna National Park in Madhya Pradesh, and this is a new Oberoi property that's opened up. So you're experiencing Indian hospitality. You're staying in a very beautifully designed property, getting that historical feeling, but you're also getting to go for a safari, and that's kind of a meeting of two different worlds, which is only possible in a country like India. And then, as you see, some of the tented camps, some of the luxury jeeps, these are all virtually world class experiences, and they make you feel like you are very deeply immersed in this whole concept of a wildlife experience. The third trend, as I mentioned, is a growth of very interesting, very unique properties across the country. So, like the Oberoi brand is now opened up in Khajuraho, is opening up in Madhya Pradesh. There's a beautiful chain of more boutique hotels called the Postcard, which is an Indian-born brand. They're opening up properties in the heart of Goa. They're opening up properties in the tea estates of Assam, offering you a completely different experience. A lot of the wellness properties are opening up in southern India by a very well known chain, which is CGH. And we have the international chains that are also coming into India today. So, from the Fairmonts to the Raffles to the Six Senses, um, all these brands have been on the lookout of properties and have found a very good mix of being an international known chain with the concept of being very much in tune with India and the characteristics of the country, and their properties reflect that today as well. The last feature of the trend, as I mentioned, was what we call seeking the experience. So these are, this is looking at the various kinds of interesting, unique activities, interactions that one can do in any part of the country, which makes the destination fresh, which makes it interesting, which makes it different. And at Anecdotes, we, as I mentioned, are constantly looking at developing these and have experienced some of these in different parts of the country with our guests. So whether it's going to Varanasi and listening to musical poetry, going to a city like Jaipur, which is known a lot for the heritage, but doing a very interesting activity like a cycling tour or a blue pottery making workshop or a textile workshop, whether it's learning cooking in Delhi, so you get very immersed, so you see all the heritage sites, you see, the old city, and then maybe in the afternoon or the evening, there's a completely different experience put in, which is interacting with the local chef and learning the art of Indian cuisine, and of course enjoying the meal as well. Uh, then coming into a city like Agra, which is synonymous with the world wonder, which is the Taj Mahal. But we've done an experience where people have learned the art of making perfume, because perfume and perfume making comes from a region close to Agra. And you're learning this and you're doing this experience whilst you have the Taj as a backdrop. That again becomes a memory that I think you will take home for generations to come. And then of course from the more sort of spiritual aspect, you have the interactions with monks, meditation, yoga, again smaller experiences that you can do in different parts of the country that make the destination a new feature for you, or see a destination in a new light. So as I said, these are just some of the experiences that I think we are foreseeing in the coming year. Very excited about what more is going to come as well. But just thought that we would share some of this with you, and happy to keep sort of keeping you updated with what's happening in the country.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aditi, for sharing all of that. We do have one more question. Okay. So, how do you balance the desires of guests to have a 4 to 5 star experience without pretending that the poverty within the country does not exist? Clients who have been to India tend to fall into two camps. They absolutely loved it and took in the entirety of the panorama, or they had a deep reaction to poverty that they encountered and never want to go back. I know this is a deep question, but any comments are appreciated.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think thank you for asking that. I'm going to say this a little bit from a personal perspective, because I don't think there's a one answer for it. But the way I see it today, and the most exciting part of India is that we are at a point where we are taking our history, but we're also taking on the future. So, India today, and the reality of us is that we are coming to India, it comes with the contemporary, and we are at par today with various cosmopolitan cities across the world, whether it's with the metros that we're developing, whether it's with the airline infrastructure, whether it's, like you rightfully mentioned, with the kind of hotels and the chains of hotels that we have. Some of the leading retail brands are in India, some of the leading restaurant brands are in India. So we are, the youth in India is more digitally savvy. Than I think I have experienced in, and I've lived in different parts of the world. So for me, I've seen more digital absorption in our country than maybe in other parts of the developed worlds. So that is India as well. That's the reality of us today, and that's the reason why I think a lot of people are looking at India from a business and from an opportunity perspective. But India is also very much the culture. It is very much coming out of being a developing nation. So, yes, the rural side of India, the countryside of India, uh, the poverty in India, as you've mentioned, is also our reality. So, I think it comes together. And you're right, some people will really understand that and some may not. Our role as I always say, the custodian of culture, our role here is to represent the Indian culture. So our role is to share that reality with you as our partners, so that there is complete transparency for any guest that's coming into the country. They are very much aware, the expectation is aligned with what they're going to actually experience. Whether that's through, you know, discussions such as this, whether that's through framing the itinerary, understanding their previous travel history in mind, whether that's through giving them the reading materials, the information prior, whether that's through briefing them or escorting them on a trip whilst they're here. So there is that level of desensitization that we can personally do, and we've done that for many clients before. So all the options are very much on the table. But to answer your question, I think that we can't take away from what we do have. It has come very far. I would also subscribe to that, especially in the routes that most clients visit as a part of the tourism. We've cleaned up our cities, we've bettered our infrastructure, There has been development and growth in different segments of our society. So there is that. But I think the hustle bustle of India and that sort of, overpowering, like I said, to expect a crowd in India is normal. But our role is to share that information before. So there's a sensitization that already happens for the clients once they come in.
That was a great answer. Thank you, Aditi. I especially loved how you said the custodian of culture, but the makers of future, something like that. I got chills when you said that because I think as someone, I mean, I've spent a bit of time in India, and I just think it's a life changing experience for clients. And with anecdotes by your side as an advisor, that transparency of what to expect makes those conversations a lot easier with clients who may not have ever been, or if you may not have ever been as an advisor. So I'd love to just wrap up the conversation, Aditi, maybe walking us through the process of working with anecdotes, potentially maybe an advisor who has never been to India before, and really understanding like how much education you give, the itinerary process, the quotation process. What is that like for an advisor to work with anecdotes?
Yeah, sure. So, we look at it, like I said, the one part of the community is, whilst we have the storytellers and the products, and we have, of course, the guests, the most important aspect in all of this is everyone on this call, which are our partners. We look at everything as a relationship. I think that's the first fundamental, and it's a part of our DNA where we're not thinking about this as just a request. We're thinking about this as a partnership that we want to carry forward. So I think understanding from our partners as an initial brief of what the clients are looking for, and it's a part of our process at Anecdotes where, it's a sort of short, I wouldn't say questionnaire, but it's a short brief of understanding what is the interest of travel, what's the profile of the clients in terms of their age, questions like, for example, what's been their favorite hotel in other parts of the world, so we understand the aesthetic and the style that they like. What was the last trip that they took, for example. So these features help us, of course, uh, be the starting point, because we are building itineraries. If we're looking at customizing it, we're building it ground up. So it's an open canvas for us. So as much of the color palette as we can get, I think the better picture we can paint. And that's a part of our process to do that. We have a lot of itineraries, as I mentioned earlier. We have, I mean, I would say not more than 100, more than 100 plus itineraries across the region. So there's enough as a thought starter that we can share, especially for those people or those clients that may not have been to India before, so that there's an idea of what heritage experience in India could look like. There's an idea of what a wildlife trail can look like, and we have this demarcated by different interests and different regions. Then the process usually takes its own course, where we share an itinerary, we get your feedback, all the changes, all the requests are modified. We share a proposal. The proposal tends to be, again, according to your brief, but it can be of two features. We can, provide you a list of premium hotels, and we can provide you a list of luxury hotels. So sometimes our partners ask us that give us a price point because we don't have a budget in mind. So we give you two price points, and you can actually discuss that with your client with a mix of different kinds and categories of hotels. And that can then become, again, a conversation to have with them. We also give a series of experiences that we would recommend, that comes from our design team, because we have curators in house that would recommend it depending on the brief. But we also have a list of optional experiences where then it's mentioned separately, so you can choose to add what you wish to add through that. And then once we get into the booking process, we usually quote our rates net or commissionable, depending on what the partners are looking for. Payments can be done through bank transfers, through credit cards. It's very easy, very seamless today, and it usually takes not even maybe 24 to 48 hours to have that entire transaction reflected. And then, of course, the most important part for us, which is to be there prior to your clients coming in and whilst your clients are in India. So all that little information we can share, which gets you excited about coming to India, your guest booklet, interesting anecdotes and things to read about India, so that there's a sort of softening of the culture. If you want to have a call before, we've done that with some of our partners where they wanted to get the client on board because they had certain questions, they wanted to book some restaurants, etc., etc. That can be done. And then we are available 24/7. So our team is just fantastic when it comes to that. We're on WhatsApp, we're on calls, there's a concierge contact. So we've very often made WhatsApp groups because our partners have wanted to have that sort of seamless flow of information. So we're happy to do that. So there's somebody there through the entire trip. And if need be, we've been on with some clients if that's required. So that's usually the process we take for customization. And then for groups, um, again, there's an initial discussion to understand the takeaway, what we're looking for. An itinerary is designed, modifications are made with the partner's requests in mind, and then a payment cancellation schedule can be shared, which we of course try to be as flexible with. So there's enough time when it comes to a group for you to be able to market it. We support you with marketing material, we support you with information, and then it's positioned as your group. So if you want us to completely white label it whilst you're in the country, you want us to put your brand's logo on it, that can be done. And we've done that very often for our guests and agents from around the world.
Amazing. Thank you. Just a quick question. Is there a fee on the credit card payments?
There is, depending on the card, it usually is between 3 to 3.5%, depending on which part of the world and what that is. But that's something again that we always share that information before. So as much as possible, we'll try and obviously work out the best on that. That's a
Okay,
bank fee that goes straight to the banks.
great. Okay. We did get one more question in and then we'll wrap up. So could you please tell us more about the Maharaja train? How many trains do you recommend and how many would you suggest incorporating into an itinerary?
So the luxury trains or the Maharaja train, there are a few circuits that have started now. I would personally, I mean, we have the Deccan Odyssey, we have the Palace on Wheels, we have the Maharaja Express. Typically, they do cover the itineraries from against Delhi going into Bombay, and that passes through parts of Rajasthan, or it does a circuit around Delhi, Rajasthan, and back. And these itineraries can be from anything from 7 to 8 days, usually, when you're doing the luxury trains. So, in that, what happens is it's a holistic experience. You're traveling to a new destination every day virtually. We're sleeping on board the luxury trains, and they have cabins from deluxe cabins right up to suites. Of course, they have a restaurant and a bar, etc., on board. So it's a holistic experience. And then at each destination, there is an excursion. So if you're stopping in Jaipur, then you're disembarking from the train, you're going on an excursion for the day, coming back, and then the train goes further. So I would recommend, ideally, if you're looking at again, let's say a 12 to 14-day experience in India, do one train journey, because I think doing too many gets quite a bit, and then combine that, of course, with the land experience before and after, depending on which circuit or which area you're embarking and disembarking from. If you're looking at doing just the train experiences in India, which is going from point A to point B, but instead of driving or flying, you're taking a train, then that, of course, has all the sectors are virtually connected by trains. And now, in the past few years, we've released some very high speed, more modern trains. So, depending on the itinerary and the requests and the time that we have, we can also recommend maybe one or two train journeys, I would say, in a 7 to 10 day itinerary. So there's a different experience, there's something unique in the journey. And if the clients like that format of travel, then it can be incorporated.
Awesome. And then one more question. Where is your main office located?
Our main head office is based out of Delhi, New Delhi, which is the capital. And we have a team in Jaipur, and we have a team member in the southern part of India.
Amazing. I think that's it on the questions. For those that are still here and listening, if you have any more additional questions, please feel free to email us directly and we'll be able to get you connected with Aditi and her team. If you have any client trip requests, if you need any suggestions on how to market India to your clients. Like we mentioned, if you have African safari clients, if you have wellness clients, like any type of travel, there's an interest itinerary for you in India, as Aditi mentioned. So please reach out to us. My email is kelly@travelkinship.com, and we'll send you the recap of this in a couple days. And Aditi, do you want to share your email really quick?
Yeah, it's aditi.chadha, that's ADITI.CHADHA at journeymart.com. That's JOURNEYMART.com.
Amazing. Yeah. And like I mentioned, we'll send the recap to you so you're able to share this with team members or have this for you as a resource. And we really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. And we look forward to welcoming you to India.